Welcome everyone to 45 Fest. My name is Katrina Pearson, 2020 Senior Advisor from Donald J. Trump Presidential Re-Election Campaign, and we welcome you tonight to my home state of Texas. Tonight we are in Dallas, Texas. Are y'all ready to see the president? All these patriotic Americans are showing up to show their love and support for President Trump, and we are so proud to be here with them. Today, we have some special guests. The Donald J. Trump campaign has launched some phenomenal coalitions, and Women for Trump is one of them. We have two wonderful women with us today, and I think there's a lot of women out in that crowd. Today we have Dr. Shyla Valentine.
Woo, thank you. Thank you for
Women
having
for
me
Trump
here.
Advisory Board. Thank you for coming, Shyla.
Thank you.
Then we have down here is our own very Crystal Mahfouz,
Hello, Texas!
president of ACE Specialties, and she's responsible for all that gear you're wearing.
All the official merchandise, yes.
So we're so excited to be here today. You know, I love being here in Dallas, my home state. I know Texans, and I know that they're going to fight to help President Trump get reelected. But I think it's so important that we bypass all of the fake news media and tell America the truth. So I want to start with you, Dr. Valentine.
Sure.
What does supporting President Trump mean for you as a woman, as a doctor, as a mother?
Well, it's not hard to celebrate what this president has done for all of us, especially women. So let's just talk about it. Record unemployment among every demographic, women 3.1%. The lowest in 66 years. Eisenhower was president when it was this low unemployment. The president has put in place 6.3 million jobs. That would fill AT&T 60 times.
Wow.
That's a lot to celebrate.
Yes.
It is. And, you know, we hear all this talk about women and how women don't like Trump. And I don't know about you, but my experience is everywhere we go, women love Trump.
Yes,
Yes.
they do.
And, you know, from my personal experience, you know, working directly for him and with him and this campaign experience, it's been nothing but phenomenal to me. And Crystal, you've been there from the beginning too. Why don't you tell them your story?
Yes, actually, I've been there since day one, pretty much. You know, when President Trump announced he was running, I was about to lose my company, located in Lafayette, Louisiana. Huge downturn in the oil field. Woke up one day, had no idea how I was going to even pay my bills. When I saw President Trump come down the escalator that day, I was making promotional products, and I knew that I was going to do a pitch. 2 weeks later, I'm in Trump Towers with a Shark Tank style presentation. And when President Trump walked in, he didn't even think twice. He looked at me and said, "How fast can you get it done?" And I said, "Give me a week." And he said, "We've got a deal." He didn't even think twice that I was a woman-owned company, small business, located in Louisiana, and that is a fact. And I have had a front row seat since 2015. I've traveled the country. I've had the privilege. I mean, it's been amazing. But everywhere we have gone, women have supported this president since day one, and he has supported them back.
Absolutely.
And that's a fact, yes.
Such a great story. And those are the kinds of stories that the media, they don't want people to know about. They don't want them to know how many women that Donald Trump, the man, has empowered to achieve their dreams. And so I'm just glad to have you here with us today. And all these women sure appreciate those stories. Dr. Valentine, let's talk about Texas. You know, Crystal was talking about, you know, job. Her job was on the line. She made a pitch, and now here she is on stage with us, and her company is doing phenomenal. What do you think about for other women? We now have an economy where we have more job openings than we have people looking. What do you think about that for Texas?
Well, it makes a big difference for Texans. I also think that it's important to celebrate that real lives have been impacted. I mean, 1.2 million women have come off poverty. That's a lot to celebrate.
That's right.
1 million children last year came off poverty. And when we talk about Texans, let's talk a little bit about health care. Because if we don't reelect our president, 4.14 million people in Texas will lose their current insurance plan. So it's vital that we reelect this president.
I agree. And, you know, there's been 70,000 manufacturing jobs created right here in Texas. And do you remember? It was Barack Obama who said, "Oh, you'll never bring manufacturing back." Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
He said, "You'll need what? A magic wand." We say abracadabra, baby.
I love it.
Crystal, when we're here talking about women and jobs, but there's so much more going on than that. We see the president has the world stage. You know, when I started supporting him, I knew that he wasn't just going to make America great again, but he's making the world great again. And so I think it's important that we talk about that, because we hear all this stuff in the news, and you and I both know the president has a gut instinct, and it's to put America first. What does it mean to you to put America first?
So you spoke about manufacturing. You know, when I did my presentation in Trump Towers, you know, President Trump was adamant we have to have all products 100% made in the USA, which I did have for the presentation, so I was a little prepared. But I realized at that point I could count on two hands how many T-shirt factories were in the United States.
Wow.
You know, and that was 2015. There was a point where I literally bought all of the T-shirts I could find in the market. And so today, you know, several years later, I'm proud to say that there are so many more manufacturers out there. I mean, there's T-shirt, everything, you know, and for myself, I've seen, you know, the economy grow with manufacturing, jobs created. You know, it's hard to find workers. You're right. You know, the unemployment rate is so low. So it's a wonderful thing. And so when the fake news media says that, you know, the president's not doing well, we've seen it firsthand how amazing he's doing.
Yeah, we have. And, you know, we talk about all of the great things that he's done, but I think what's really important about that is that he's keeping his promises to Americans.
Yes.
That's right.
And this whole scenario of promises made, promises kept, I don't think most people realize what an impact that President Trump would make, because now he's raised the bar for every other politician out there. He's been able to do things that no one said could be done. He's able to set goals very high and move forward to achieve them. So it's completely unlike what we've experienced in the last few decades. And promises made, promises kept. Dr. Valentine, what do you think about promises made and promises kept?
Well, that just goes to our core values. I mean, we all want integrity, and we want promises to be kept. And this president has kept his foot on the pedal from day one. And it's up to us to continue supporting him in every way we can, because we've got a battle and we need to win it.
No, that's right. You know, and it's so exciting, you know, especially to be here in Texas, which, if you didn't know this already, Texas is the come and take it state.
Love it.
So we have all this talk about impeachment and, you know, more fake news. And I like to say that this is just Russia all over again.
Sure.
You know, this is Russia collusion in search of a crime. And now we have an impeachment inquiry in search of a cause. But guess what? The Democrats can fight and lie and cheat and steal all they want. Impeach our president if you try. Remove him if you dare.
Exactly.
Because we love our president.
We do.
And not only that, but he's right. And I think that's what makes it so difficult for the Democrats to have. I mean, Crystal, what is your message to everyone when it comes to all this fake news that surrounds President Trump?
So, you know, it's funny you asked that question, because all throughout 2015, 2016, the crowds, every city, every state,
Like right
everywhere.
here.
Yes, look at this.
Look at this crowd right here.
So for me, you know, those of us that had a firsthand, you know, view of what was actually happening, you know, the media's here at every event, although they never looked over their shoulder. They never looked back. They never paid attention to what was actually happening. And it hasn't stopped. It's only grown. So 2020, here we come. We're ready.
We are ready.
Yes.
Dr. Valentine, what do you say to all this fake news media?
Well, it just drives me crazy because that is a narrative that is just getting old. They just, as you say, they just keep trying to reinvent this passion to remove this president who's done nothing but good things for our country. And I just think they're just barking up the wrong tree, because I see here people that are supporting our president.
That's right. You know, you're on our Women for Trump advisory board, and we launched that just a few months ago. And tell us about the experience that you had launching the Women for Trump coalition, because again, you know, we're all women sitting here right now. I'm black, you're white, you know, brown hair, red hair, blonde hair. There are women of all colors, of all creeds who support President Trump. What did you experience that day when that coalition launched?
Well, that's a good question for me, Katrina, because I've known you a while and you know my story. I'm a physician. I practice pharmacy. I've got a 3-year-old. But when I got the call to join the advisory board, my answer was yes, and how fast. Because it's time for me to put my energy in the front line for this president. So when I went to King of Prussia, I just felt nothing but energy and encouragement that all women are behind this president, and I am just proud to be here.
Well, we thank you for that, and you have been saving women's lives your entire career, so we appreciate you. Let's take a step back and let's talk about the Democrat debate.
Ooh.
I know.
Did y'all see that?
Yes.
Did y'all see that craziness? That was, to me, one of the funniest things that I could witness on television in politics, because here you have all of these Democrats who say that, you know, they have all these policies to make things better, which is always confusing to me, because if they think the world's going to end in 12 years, why bother? So when you hear them talk about these horrible policies, what does it make you think? Because we've talked about the economy, we've talked about the promises made and promises kept. Do you think that maybe, just maybe, a lot of this fake news is just trying to keep President Trump's message from getting out? Crystal, let's start with you.
Oh, definitely. I mean, 100%. You know, obviously we sit back and we try to watch the debate, right? I don't know. After 5
That's a good
minutes,
point.
I know. After 5 minutes, I'm like, okay. But they try every day. It doesn't matter whatever station you put on. They are completely obsessed with just trying to make the president look bad, trying to say that everything he's doing is bad for our country. However, it's not. I mean, we know. America knows, you know, and like I said, you know, they are failing to pay attention to what's actually going on, and they're trying to turn the story every chance they get.
They are. What do you think, Shyla?
Well, I think that they are proposing these far left, socialist, take over every aspect of our life policies that is not going to resonate with the American people. And quite frankly, I don't understand. Let's take health care. I mean, Elizabeth Warren wants this Medicare for all. She does this little dance about how she's going to pay for it. She can't answer the question. And then Bernie Sanders says there's a $40 trillion price tag. I mean, I don't get it.
It's imaginary. I mean, it's truly la la land. And to your point, when Elizabeth Warren was asked how she's going to pay for it, is it going to raise taxes? She couldn't say yes, and she couldn't say no. She did this political dance around this ridiculous policy. But the one thing that I really want to ask all of these Democrat candidates is, if you do give Americans this one-size-fits-all health care plan, Are you going to exempt yourselves? Because that's exactly what they did with Obamacare.
Yes, so
no
they've
one
got a
talks
pattern.
about that, Dr. Valentine.
Well,
You're right.
exactly. They just want two sides of the coin. They want one side for them and one size fits all for everybody else. American people are not going to buy that.
I don't think they will either. And just because of the sensical things about it, they're nonsensical. President Trump has offered real solutions. He's
Right.
offered real policies. He's implemented real policies, in many cases by himself. But that's what we love about him, because he is fighting for us. Crystal, what is your message for women out there who might be on the fence? What would you say to them?
I would like for them to really just take a look, to honestly, let their guard down, take a stand, take a look, listen to my story. I mean, my story is the true epitome of a woman who, small business America had an opportunity of a lifetime, and President Trump trusted that I would get the job done. And we've seen that many times. He supports women and encourages them to succeed and be successful. And that is great.
I can totally vouch for that. It's wonderful.
Yes.
Dr. Valentine, for all of the women listening in there and out there, how can they get involved to help President Trump get reelected?
There's several ways. First of all, let's use those devices, ladies, and text EMPOWER to 88022. Also, sign up at women.donaldjtrump.com. And also, you just feet on the ground, get involved in the Trump Victory Leadership Initiatives. And also, let's vote with our pocketbook. That's how we can also make a big difference. So let's get started.
That's right. For all you women, text EMPOWER to 88022. That'll wrap it up for this segment. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Dr. Valentine, for joining us today. We'll be right back. And welcome back to 45 Fest, right here in Dallas, Texas. Look at all these people ready to see the president. We are so excited to be here tonight, and we're talking coalitions today. President Trump's campaign has launched 2 coalitions that I really wanted to highlight today, and the second one is Latinos for Trump. So today, we have Pastor Pena here with us for Latinos. Are there any Latinos in the crowd? Yeah.
All right.
There you go. All right, Pastor, let's talk President Trump.
Sure.
How did you get involved with the president?
Well, I was grateful during the 16 campaign to be invited to meet with a few Hispanic national leaders to give advice and input on issues that are really relevant and pertinent to the Hispanic community. And so began doing that, and it just grew from there.
Well, let's talk about the issues real quick because, you know, the president gets a lot of heat when it comes to the Latino community, even though his poll numbers continue to rise.
That's right.
Among Latinos. And one of the most telling indicators that I've experienced was this latest New Mexico rally.
Right.
Yeah, people were shocked that President Trump was going to New Mexico, and there were thousands of people inside and thousands of people on outside. And guess what? 40% of those registrants were Latinos.
Yeah.
So tell me about the policies that are important.
Well, there are a number of policies. I mean, Latinos care about everything, whether it's business or education, trade or the international markets. They're relevant to all the Latino community. But the Latino community is a very pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-work ethic community. And so those values are bedrock values that made America great, and they line up very well with the president's values.
They do. And, you know, we have record low unemployment for Latinos, for African Americans, for women, for everyone across the board.
That's right.
So that is what's truly resonating, is I think there's a lot of people who see through the fake news media and they see the results. You know, we were just talking about this with women. It's the exact same thing. So when we do talk about these policies, and as I mentioned earlier, the president's poll numbers continue to rise, what would be your message to the Latinos that are on the fence?
Well, I would say continue to look at the economy, because we care about the future for our children. And if the economy is not continuing to grow, if job prospects don't continue to expand, then the future for our children is not very bright. But so for the sake of our children, and we're very family oriented and family focused, we care about the future for our children. So I would say this president has impacted the economy and provided a bright future for our children because of his leadership.
You know, I'm so glad you bring that up, because we don't really hear a lot of people, when they talk about the president's policies, bring up their children. They talk about the future, but they don't really say children specifically. And I think that is going to be key, because when we do talk about the values, we cannot talk enough about the judicial appointments that President Trump has made, and 2 Supreme Court justices. And that goes a very long way with securing the future for our children. So what does that mean to you? Are Latinos concerned when it comes to judicial appointments?
Very concerned about judicial appointments. Keep in mind, he has successfully appointed 150 judges. The district judges, the federal bench, and the federal benches have lifetime appointments as well. And so he is on the verge of having a lifetime impact for conservative judges that uphold family values because of these conservative judicial appointments. And I can give you example after example of bad judges doing bad things that go against our values. And he has been putting judges on the bench that support these bedrock values that are not only Republican, not only Latino, but they are biblical values that have made this country great.
Absolutely. You know, biblical values are truly key. Despite all of the news that surrounds the president and everyone that surrounds him, those things are very important for a whole host of reasons. But first and foremost, to maintain the integrity of our country, to maintain the integrity of our borders.
Right.
We have to protect our borders, and President Trump gets that. And then when we talk about the other values that are so important, they just seem like maybe to you and me so simple. We should put our people first.
Right.
We should secure the future for our children. So why do you think the Democrats are just so hell-bent on stopping him from making America great?
Well, what their motives are, anyone can guess. I'm afraid they're sinister and self-serving from my perspective. Because when you see what's happening, open borders has produced record human trafficking.
Yeah.
Women and children being trafficked because of open borders, and that's being done by the drug cartels. And if we'll seal our borders, we can put a stop to the rampant abuse of women and children. And why anyone would be against that is just very difficult to understand. The weapon smuggling, the drug smuggling, the human trafficking, which they're making an enormous amount of money on, it just compels, I think, reasonable people to want to seal our borders. And I've said to him many times as I've sat with him on the border in South Texas and agreed with him looking at the incredible abuse that's going on, a humanitarian crisis that he didn't manufacture.
Right.
The media has absolutely been practicing either journalistic malpractice, or they just lost their soul because they've said there's no crisis there. The president didn't manufacture that crisis. It's a real humanitarian crisis, and I am grateful and proud that he has put the resources there to help take care of these that are suffering the least of these.
Yeah, that's a great point, too. You know, the president has always said that you can't have a country without a border.
That's right.
And it's very important, and especially being right here in Texas, where we get to experience firsthand what happens if we're not controlling the border. And not too long ago, the Trump campaign was in El Paso. And we were talking to people on the street because El Paso has a wall. But if you go 15 minutes down the road, the wall ends.
Right.
So we had asked people in El Paso, so if the wall is racist and horrible, should we take down your wall? And they said, well, no.
Right.
And I said, well, what are you going to tell your neighbors down the road why they can't have one? Because it is just them being on the opposite end of President Trump. So I'm glad there's people like you out there, and you've prayed for him, correct?
Many times.
And you are with the prayer group. Tell us about that.
Well, there has never been a president more eager to be prayed for than President Donald Trump. He is open to prayer. He recruits us to pray, and he immediately says, "Are we gonna pray together?" He's very eager for that because he knows the power of prayer. And so when we talk about this and we pray for our nation, the safety of our nation, we don't want to put up walls because we hate the people on the other side.
Right.
It's the same reason why we lock our doors at night. It's because we love the people on the inside.
That's right.
So we want to protect them. And the president has given great leadership there. No matter what the Democrats do to try to distort his motives, President Trump is not a racist.
No, he's absolutely not. You know, that's right. That's right. Yeah, the best part about that is in 2016, you know, I'm sitting here defending Donald Trump, the candidate at the time, and they're calling him a racist and a sexist. And I'm sitting here thinking, can they see me?
Right.
I'm a woman. I'm black. I'm pretty sure he's not racist or sexist. But this is the kind of stuff that we have to deal with, unfortunately. And as you mentioned before, the media, they are doing his agenda. But now that we see they've gone even further with this impeachment inquiry, what is your message to Latinos about this fake, phony inquiry?
Well, this inquiry is being done completely differently than any other inquiry that's been done historically. Whether it was Nixon or Clinton, both sides, both parties were able to sit, listen to witnesses, have counsel present, cross-examine witnesses, produce documents, produce evidence. And here, before a vote has even been taken to do an official inquiry, the committee chairs, all Democrat, are running their own media campaign to smear and completely adulterate the facts and try to get the biggest media impact possible that they can control with their friends in the media. And I think it is a complete fake inquiry at this point.
Absolutely. And they do that to the American people. You know, they don't want Americans to even have a voice. That's why they're trying to undo the 2016 election, because they know, and I believe there was a Democrat that even said it, that he's going to get reelected if they don't impeach. That's why they're trying to get rid of him. But I think we, including everybody out there listening, I think we have a different plan for 2020.
That's right.
I think President Trump is going to get reelected by an even bigger margin.
I do too.
Because he's doing the right thing for the people. Now, if people listening want to get involved with Latinos for Trump, how do they do that?
They can go to latinos.donaldjtrump.com. Very simple, latinos.donaldjtrump.com for all my Latino friends out there. And I want to encourage you to engage. Ask questions. I am convinced that Donald Trump is not afraid of any question that's fairly and reasonably asked. And I want to encourage everyone to engage. He has brought prison reform. He's brought once-in-a-lifetime tax reform. He has brought religious liberty to the forefront for the world. And he has done more than any president, at least in my lifetime, for the pro-life agenda. And I'm very grateful for this president, and I believe we need and must reelect him in 2020.
We do. And so do you think, by chance, that he might be talking about some of those things tonight?
I'm hoping he does. I'm counting on him saying those things because it'll resonate here in Texas.
It will absolutely resonate here. And so when the president arrives and he takes the stage, do you think it's going to be quiet in that room?
I think it's going to be loud.
You know, this is why the president loves America, because you see all these people out here and they're all ready to see him. Some of you have been out there for 2 days waiting to get in to see this president, and he so appreciates that and values it. And the media is just beside themselves when they hear that people are lining up to see President Trump. Even after, 4 years now? I've been on the campaign since 2015, and people are still lining up. And the more they attack him, the bigger the crowds get. Why?
Well, I think that everyday Americans can tell when the media is being so biased and they're simply running a smear campaign. And Americans have a very basic sense of right and wrong and what's fair and what's unfair.
Right.
And it is very, very obvious that the Democrats, with their media partners, have overplayed their hand, and they've been very, very unfair, and the American people can tell the difference.
They can tell the difference. And I don't know about you, but I've had even Democrats come up to me just in the airport or at Home Depot the other day and said, you know, I didn't vote for President Trump before, but I think what they're doing to him is wrong. And I think that the average American can embrace that, and they internalize that because it could have been their vote that they're trying to nullify. And I think that now President Trump has done a really great job at growing his base, mainly because all of these attacks have done nothing but expose the true Democrat agenda. It is all about power.